Hello, and a rather overly warm welcome back to, well, one, Boxing Day in the Southern Hemisphere, what a nonsense, and secondly, the third episode of the Single Malt Review's Casual Drams, the show where I try to do everything myself, and subsequently the episodes are a bit duff, but they're very easy to make, so I can bring you out a little bit more whisky content when we're between bigger productions. Anyway, without further ado today, I thought I would take a look at a rather nice blend again. It's Ballantine's 12 years old. A blend which, I wouldn't say it's one of my favourite, but it is one of the most versatile, I think, if not the most interesting. Ballantine's, of course, a pretty well revered old blend, really. It escapes me off the top of my head who owns the brand now, but of course George Ballantine and Son was one that started the thing off. And what it is, really very simply, is just and it's not even that much more complex version of the regular Ballantines, which I think is really quite high quality. So I may come to a bit of an interesting, slightly daring conclusion at the end of this episode, but we'll just have to come along and see. We might all be saving a bit of money. So, anyway, as usual, like nigh, sadly, every single blend on the market, this one is chill filtered and coloured, so we won't waste any extraneous discussion talking about those aspects. But you can't fake the aroma. And this one, it really doesn't push you around. It's shockingly gentle. One of the most gentle noses in any whisky you can find. It's heather, honey, gorse flower, honeysuckle, really quite floral, and that might be the big difference in the between this and the no age statement Ballantines, which I'll compare it to later, possibly in a second episode. We'll see how long this one goes. It's very inviting, and it's not asking anything of you. It's a very generous whisky, so anyway, it does very well with a bit of ice too. Let's see what's on the palate. Smooth almost to a fault. Easy to drink, doesn't really do it justice. It's effortless to drink, and that could result in some fairly interesting times if that's all you had in the cupboard, because it's really not one that rewards you taking your time with it, especially once you go and put an ice cube in it like I have. But I think it's really quite a good way to drink this one, because these sort of clean, simple-ish, refreshing whiskies can become really refreshing whiskies once you cool them down. That lovely alcohol sharpness can be one of the most refreshing things in the world if you're into that sort of thing. So, on the palate. More honey, lots and lots of honey. It really is just drenched. And it's a very light honey, you know, clover, heather, maybe a little bit of borage, and floral. It has quite a Highland sort of a character to it, a lighter Highland. People have started associating Highland whisky with very deep, sort of dark, ultimately sherried whiskies, which is a bit silly. Highland has nothing to do with sherried styles. There's just a few more distilleries up there that focus on their sherried whisky, so it's become a bit of a perception that Highland whisky is sort of the deeper, darker, richer thing, when it's not really. It all just depends how you mature it. So anyway, this one certainly is not. The Highland character I'm getting from it is very much the floral, the slightly flowery, grainy, very light, malty flavour. I think the only thing I'd want more out of it is maybe 43%, maybe even 46% if they were feeling really generous, because then it would just have more power to go along with its soft, gentle touch. At the moment it's very soft, very gentle, and it does that very well, but it's soft and gentle in a way that a sort of a inveterate whisky palate like mine can just sort of push straight over. It's too soft, there's not enough weight behind it. If it was 46, there would be a power behind the flavour, which would, I think, do it a tremendous favour, and it would mean that if you did put ice in it, you wouldn't get a rapid dilution underneath 40%, in which many whiskies begin to flag. This one isn't, because it's nice and simple. There's no esoteric characters I'm going to destroy by bringing the dilution down to a bit more like 35 or something like that. But if it was something more complex, if it was an older blend, that could be lethal. But if it was 46, it would have a lot more robust sort of legs on it. But anyway, never mind. If you're going to end up with a 40% whiskey, it might as well be a blend. They deal with it much better than single malt, in my opinion, of course. There's some nuts, there's some cashew, there's a little bit of macadamia, there's just a hint of pistachios, which I really rather love. Easily my favourite nut, that one. And that might be all, really. Maybe a little bit of shortbread lingering along in the distance, but that's really about it. It's a clean floral whiskey. It's not waxy or creamy or sherried or anything like that. It's unreservedly a bourbon matured thing. I wouldn't want to hazard too much of a guess as to what the malt content was. It doesn't say, of course. I'd say this is probably grain dominant though, because of these very, very gentle, soft characters coming through. So, who should drink this, and where should they drink it? I think it's a really good, entertaining whiskey. I think it's probably something quite excellent to have in the cupboard, so that when someone comes around and they don't necessarily enjoy whiskey on maybe the same level that you do, if you're one of these multi people like we all are. Goodness me, that dog. We're actually going to take a little break for that dog. Right, I think it's shut up. Anyway. So what I was saying, good one to keep in the cupboard for when you want a nice sort of house whiskey to pour when you have guests or family or people that would like a whiskey, but that you don't want to do any explaining or start up a tasting class in the lounge all of a sudden because you've given them something too complicated. No one's going to be befuddled by this one, and I think almost everyone's going to enjoy it because there's nothing here particularly challenging. If someone thinks they like whiskey, they will like this one, and even if you're a real proper maniac, you could say, you'll still enjoy it too, because I'm enjoying it. And I'm pretty demanding when it comes to my whiskey these days. Scores wise, I'll give that one a 77, and that's a blend score, so compare it appropriately. And I will have to have a wee dig and see if I've got the no age statement Ballantines, because it's been a wee while since I've had it, but maybe I'm struggling just a little bit to see if there's a real marked difference, and that's not a mark against this whiskey. I think it might be a mark in favour of the original Ballantines, because if I can't tell much of a difference, then that's a really rather good sign for a no age statement blend, because if it's as good as the 12-year-old, then goodness, that's extremely good value. So I might go and have to buy a bottle and come back and have a wee look. So we'll do them in a funny order, 12-year-old first, going down to the no age statement, and see where we end up. So, at any rate, thank you for joining me. I won't keep you any longer. I hope you've all had a very good Christmas, and Dave promises he will be around tomorrow and we will produce some of our more professional content. We have some really quite marvellous things to look at. I won't give you any hints, but feel free to guess. You probably won't get it. I'll tell you this much, they're not all whiskies again. We're going very broad this time around, and we'll have lots of really tremendous things for you in the new years. But at any rate, they should be coming right around the corner. Do keep safe in the meantime. Have a good Boxing Day and a good New Year's if we don't get anything up before then, but I'm sure we will actually. We're not that lazy. So, at any rate, Slanja, and it was good to see everybody. Do come back around shortly when I will compare this with the no age statement, and we all might make a rather frugal discovery, I think. Anyway, catch you around.